face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello and welcome. I am Samia Mohammed and this is Pulse of Africa Evening News. Stay with us for insightful coverage on the stories shaping our region and beyond. Morocco pushes for stronger climate finance commitments at COP30 prep meeting. Morocco called for ambitious and legally binding climate finance agreements at the preparatory meeting in Belém as Brazil's COP30 presidency works to bridge divides ahead of next year's summit. Speaking in Belém on Monday, Rachid Tahiri, Morocco's climate change lead at the Ministry of Energy Transition and Sustainable Development, urged negotiators to remove the last obstacles blocking substantial discussions on Article 9.1 of the Paris Agreement. This provision establishes developed countries' legal obligation to provide financial support to developing nations. Tahiri stressed that the world's climate goals depend on whether developing countries receive clear financial resources to implement their national climate pledges, known as nationally determined contributions. Brazil's presidency note reveals that consultations have identified common ground on several fronts, strengthening multilateralism, shifting from negotiation to implementation, expanding international cooperation and accelerating climate action during this critical decade. The presidency also reports growing alignment on energy transition, broadening access to climate finance, and reducing capital costs for developing countries. Finance remains the major sticking point as three distinct options exist on how to structure financial flows, their governance, and how they connect to existing commitments on adaptation and Article 9.1 implementation. Several delegations say the gap remains too wide for quick compromise. We remain concerned about the scale of unresolved issues as time runs out, Tahiri said, calling for serious and structured discussions on Article 9.1. We can only make progress with dedicated process for this article, one of the few that establishes a clear legal obligation. Morocco, aligned with African and Arab negotiating groups on climate finance, pointed out that some countries resist opening this discussion. The country asked Brazil's presidency to identify necessary guarantees to reassure all parties. We encourage our partners to specify what safeguards they would need to engage in non-procedural dialogue on 9.1, Tahiri said, urging the Brazilian presidency to lead more detailed discussions on this issue. While welcoming several countries' recognition of public finance role, Morocco advocated for a framework that clearly separates three levels of financial action: provision, mobilization, and board of laws. We are ready to leave Belém with active process on all three levels, provided each has its own proper space, Morocco's representative said. This clarification, he added, proved essential to build trust and ensure developing countries like Morocco can implement their climate contributions to match their ambitions, including conditional components. Brazil's presidency stressed the urgency of keeping the 1.5 degrees Celsius target within reach and called for intensified efforts on adaptation, energy transition, transparency, and technical cooperation through Article 6 and existing support mechanisms. Media urged to amplify Zimbabwean narrative and support national development. The government has urged local media houses to play a more active role in shaping the national narrative and advancing Zimbabwe's economic aspirations as reforms in the broadcasting and information sector continue to unfold. Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services Minister Dr. Jenfan Muswere delivered the message on Monday during the official launch of Radio 3000 on online radio platform under Gesture Media Services. He emphasized that the liberalization of the media space must translate into content that reflects the nation's development trajectory and promotes socio-economic progress. Dr. Muswere noted that the success achieved in opening up the media sector mirrors the country's economic growth. He stressed the importance of inclusivity, urging broadcasters to ensure programming in all 16 constitutionally recognized languages so that every Zimbabwean can contribute to rebuilding the economy. This new framework allows us to broadcast to a global audience. With digitalization, the role of the media is to inform citizens, expand markets for our nation, attract foreign direct investment, identify domestic opportunities, and catalyze value chains. In doing so, we can transform industries such as tobacco and create the jewel of Africa we all envision for Zimbabwe, he said. The minister also highlighted ongoing government efforts to modernize the media industry. He pointed to amendments in the Broadcasting Service Act, which now accommodate internet-based broadcasting. This, he said, ensures Zimbabwe can tell its own story while empowering citizens with knowledge about the country's economic transformation. He added the success of the engagement and re-engagement strategy has redefined Zimbabwe's international relations and stands as a pinnacle of empowerment. Gesture Media Services Broadcasting Division Managing Director, Mr. Ziwili Sibanda, applauded the Second Republic for opening the airways. He noted the growing appetite for podcasts in Zimbabwe and globally, saying Radio 3000 would capitalize on this trend. This is an exciting time for our group, our viewers, listeners, and readers. With the launch of Radio 3000, we can now offer a 360-degree media and marketing capability to our advertisers, he said. Meanwhile, the ZBC News crew toured the Zimbabwe's digital superdesk, where Group Acting Editorial Executive Mr. Elias Mambo underscored the importance of digital transformation. This is a digital newsroom where we integrate all our services. We are happy to be complementing the government's vision of digitalization, he remarked. By aligning content with Zimbabwe's developmental aspirations, the media is being called upon to serve not only as a watchdog, but also as a nation builder, fostering unity, transparency, and inclusive participation in the national discourse. Zambia's Justice Minister Musa Luke elected to UN Dispute Tribunal. Zambia has scored a major milestone on the international stage with the election of Constitutional Court Judge Justice Minister Musa Luke to the United Nations Dispute Tribunal. The announcement was made on 17 November 2025 in New York following the UNDT judicial election. Justice Minister Musa Luke secured the highest number of votes among all candidates, a resounding endorsement that reflects strong international confidence in Zambia's judiciary and its commitment to upholding the rule of law. With more than 25 years of experience in constitutional, administrative, and employment law, Justice Musa Luke has been instrumental in shaping Zambia's constitutional jurisprudence and governance frameworks. His expertise and leadership have earned him respect both at home and abroad. He is set to assume his duties as a part-time judge in June 2026. The UNDT, where he will serve, is tasked with handling employment-related disputes between United Nations and its staff worldwide, making his role pivotal in safeguarding fairness and justice within the global institution. The appointment is being hailed as significant achievement for Zambia, underscoring the country's growing contribution to international legal institutions and global justice. It also highlights the increasing recognition of African jurists in shaping the future of international law. Musa Luke's election not only elevates Zambia's profile on the world stage, but also serves as an inspiration for the nation's legal fraternity, reinforcing the importance of integrity, professionalism, and dedication in advancing both national and international justice. Famed photographer Amos Nachom to capture Ethiopia's rare wildlife. World-renowned National Geographic photographer Amos Nachom has returned to Ethiopia, this time turning his lens toward two of the country's most iconic and endangered species, the Ethiopian wolf and the gelada monkey. Nachom will begin this journey in the Bali Mountains, where fewer than 500 Ethiopian wolves remain, making them one of the rarest canids in the world. He will then travel to Semain Mountains to document the gelada monkeys, a species found only in Ethiopia and celebrated for their distinctive social behavior and striking appearance. Speaking about his mission, Nachom emphasized that his ultimate goal is to highlight Ethiopia's natural heritage and encourage tourism in the coming year. He expressed gratitude for the country's hospitality and underscored his responsibility to use photography as a tool for empowerment. Known for his daring career that has challenged perception of wildlife, including swimming alongside great white sharks and photographing polar bears without protection, Nachom has long advocated for harmony between human and nature. We need to be respectful of their environment, respectful of the present, and learn how to live with them in harmony, he said. Through its powerful images, Nachom aims to showcase Ethiopia's rare wildlife as a global treasure, promoting responsible ecotourism while strengthening the country's presence on the international stage. His work is expected to draw attention not only to the beauty of Ethiopia's landscape, but also to the urgent need for conservation. Now to business news. Nigeria's trade with Africa rises 14% in first half of 2025. Nigeria's trade with other African countries grew by 14% in the first 6 months of year, thanks to government efforts to strengthen regional ties. According to the Bloomberg report, quoting the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Bashir Adini, trade with the continent increased by 600 billion naira, reaching a total of 4.82 trillion naira between January and June. This is a clear signal that regional trade is gaining momentum, Adini said. He noted that Nigeria's export to members of the Economic Community of West African States rose sharply, showing Nigeria's growing role as a hub for intra-African trade and value chains. The federal government has been working to simplify customs procedures and improve transport links with neighboring countries to reduce long-standing trade barriers. Industry, Trade and Investment Minister Jumuko Oduwole added that Nigeria is taking concrete steps to implement the African Continental Free Trade Area. This includes tariff concessions and the launch of a dedicated air cargo corridor to East Africa, which has reduced export costs by about 75%. Tanzania boosts horticulture investment. Tanzania has unveiled an ambitious plan to accelerate the growth of its horticulture industry following the successful conclusion of the Maiden Horticulture Business and Investment Summit in Dar es Salaam. The high-level forum convened by the Tanzania Horticultural Association in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture brought together government officials, investors, financiers and regional partners. Delegates committed to driving the subsector into a new phase of competitiveness and export-oriented expansion. TAHA Chief Executive Officer Dr. Jacqueline Mikindi announced the HOBIS will now be institutionalized as an annual event held every 1st of August to coincide with Farmers' Day. She said the decision would elevate the summit's influence, turning it into a key marketplace for investment commitment, policy alignment and cross-sector collaboration. Delegates also endorsed Logistica Africa as a recurring November event in Arusha, positioning Tanzania as a regional hub for horticultural logistics, technology deployment, and supply chain innovation. Beyond event positioning, the summit adopted a comprehensive strategy to package and promote bankable horticultural investment opportunities throughout the year. Organizers noted that this effort will attract capital, strengthen value chains, and enable producers to capture high-value markets. The policy panel stressed the need for coordinated reforms, including enhanced economic diplomacy, stronger public-private partnership, expanded access to finance, and modernized logistics. Trading and market access were central to discussions, with leaders calling for urgent upgrades in cold chain systems, sorting and grading hubs, and rural transport networks to reduce post-harvest losses and meet export standards. Delegates further pushed for deeper regional integration within the East African community, particularly through harmonized certification regimes and unified trade policies to facilitate cross-border flows of goods, investment and services. Improved infrastructure, ports, roads and inspection centers was identified as critical for attracting foreign direct investment and expanding financial products tailored to horticulture. With the resolutions now in place, stakeholders expressed confidence that Tanzania is poised for a major leap in horticultural output, job creation and export earnings, Dr. Mikindi said. She added that the momentum generated at HOBIS marks the beginning of a new business-driven growth trajectory for one of the country's most promising agricultural subsectors. Dr. Mikindi also expressed gratitude to the government, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, Trademark Africa, and Azania Bank for their contribution to the summit's success. Finally, Matt Smith becomes South Africa's first Winter Olympian in years. Matt Smith, a 34-year-old from Cape Town, is set to make history as South Africa's first cross-country skier at the Winter Olympics in over a decade. His unexpected rise marks a milestone for a country known for its rugby prowess rather than snowy sports. Nicknamed the Snowbook, Smith secured a quota spot for Team South Africa at the 2026 Winter Olympics in northern Italy, a remarkable achievement for an athlete who began cross-country skiing less than 3 years ago. Smith, who dreamed of wearing the Springbok rugby jersey as a boy, pursued a successful career in tech startups before relocating to Norway in 2022. Faced with icy winters, embraced cross-country skiing. The early learning curve came with plenty of falls and setbacks. Inspired by Mexican Olympic skier Alan Daniel Corona, Smith reached out to Snow Sports South Africa to pursue accreditation as a national athlete. He committed to self-funding his Olympic campaign and demonstrated his fitness to earn a Federation International Diski code in 2023. Now training rigorously in Oslo's Holmenkollen, one of the sports heartlands, Smith will represent sports slalom pursued by South Africans. The last to do was Oliver Cross, who completed at the 2010 Vancouver Games. When I started, I was embarrassed to wear the South Africa kit, Smith recalls. I was wobbly, but I realized it's about rising, not how you fail. Now I am proud to show my country's colors. Smith's goal isn't medals, but to inspire athletes from smaller nations and pave the way for South African participation in winter sports. Off the slopes, Smith is a motivational speaker who uses his platform to champion the benefits of determination and perseverance, both in sport and life. Although he will face powerhouses like Norway, Johannes Høstlov Kalibo at the Games, Smith is focused on being the top finisher among small nation entrants, including competitors from Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Peru. I want to smile, wave, and represent South Africa with pride because that's the true Olympic spirit, Smith says. Beyond results, he hopes his Olympic journey will encourage broader South African engagement with winter sports and inspire others to chase unlikely dreams. That's all from Pulse of Africa News for the hour. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more updates from Africa.